In this video, we take a look at the FANATEC GT DD Pro, and I'm going to explain why this part of the wheel is extremely frustrating. Hello everyone, and welcome to the review of the FANATEC GT DD Pro. It's a mouthful. It's right there, though, in the box. And I'm going to do my unboxing that I normally do as well. So you can see the box here. The handle, by the way, just be careful if you get the handle or pick it up with the handle. Both of mine have broken every time I picked it up, and I've nearly dropped the thing. So just be careful with that. The handle doesn't seem to be the best of, the best of handles that you can get on a box. I've definitely had better, let's put it that way. But that is the FANATEC GT DD Pro box in a nutshell. But we want to go inside the wheel, don't we? So let's go inside there. Let's have a look what's in there. So first up, you obviously get the manual for the FANATEC GT DD Pro, and it's presented in a nice way. But when we get to the gritty details, you can see that there. We get the wheel first of all, and then you get the supply box in the background. And we are going to go into this in a bit more detail, because this is what the review is all about. So we're going to talk about the detail first of all, and then we'll get into the pros, the cons, and all the information in between. First up then is the wheel itself. We've just taken out of that plastic covering, and what a nice wheel it is, to be honest with you. Lots and lots of buttons on there. Of course, in Gran Turismo, and it being the official Gran Turismo wheel, I've not actually said that yet, you do have the green, the blue, the yellow, and the red joysticks for the fuel traction control. The red is brake balance, and yellow is just everything, essentially. And they can go left, right, up, down, and be pressed as well. Same for that. That replaces the D-pad. I don't like it, I've got to be honest. I'd much prefer a D-pad. L3 and R3 being on the wheel is a good feature. Real big shout out for that. So everything is on the wheel rather than two buttons being on the actual base, which was very annoying. And of course, you've got the usual buttons there as well. And they are all reachable. And we also have this LED screen. So you've got the LED rev match and also the speed shown on that central screen there, which is a really nice touch that they've added to this wheel. So that is the front of the wheel. Looks very sporty, looks very nice. Got the flat bottom, of course, which you expect in a normal sports car. Let's flip it over then. Let's have a look at the back of it then. And the flappy paddles are there. I'm going to get onto them in a bit more detail. Very springy paddles, I will say that much. They do work, and I've had no real issues with them. But yeah, we'll get onto that a bit later on in the review. So that is the wheel in a nutshell, and that's how it actually clamps on to the base. So in terms of the white box that you saw there, you obviously get these, which are used to hard mount your wheel to your rig, essentially. They go inside the wheel, and then you screw into those then. You, of course, get the Allen key there, and also the cable, the Ethernet cable, which obviously is used for communication between the peripherals, the pedals, and the wheelbase. Not sure what that was for, to be honest with you. I never really figured it out. That is for mounting it with the desk clamp there, as is that there, of course. And then we also, well, I think it might go on there, but we also have a USB-C type cable there, of course. And that is for plugging in. The obvious thing, of course. So that is what was in the white box in a nutshell. But let's go back into the box. Let's have a look at what else is inside the box. Here we are then. Next up, below what we saw where the wheel was, is the pedals. We've also got the direct drive base, of course, and a few bits of plastic bits that we're going to investigate a little bit more. So first up is that big plastic bit that was at the bottom. I've just got that FANATEC logo on there. Wasn't quite sure initially when I got it out the box. It is for the desk clamp there. You can see the hole in the middle, and it's all about setting it up, and you can see the grip that it's got there as well. We are going to talk about the desk clamp a bit more in detail, because I did try it out. I always try the desk clamp out now just to see how it feels, of course. But that is that first part there with that FANATEC logo. Next up is the bottom part of the desk clamp there. So you can see the circle bit there, where obviously that large piece screws in. And now on this side, you do have these two grippy pieces at the top. They do rotate to get it flat on your base there. And that is literally a desk clamp in a nutshell. It just combines with the other piece to hopefully give you a strong connection. Next up then is the wheelbase then. You can see the FANATEC logo there. Now this was actually much heavier than I was expecting. Very heavy piece. Does feel quality. It really does feel like it's good quality as we venture around to the front then. So obviously your wheel is going to go on to there. Nice and easy as well is that part. You also have that black clamp bit at the back. Okay, now that is an interesting piece, and that has some problems which we will get to in the review. The power button there, that is also an interesting design choice, which we will get into in the review as well, as we head round to the back with a big F on the back. Is this whole review going to be a big F? That is the question. But you can see there, shifter 1, shifter 2, pedal and the handbrake. They're Ethernet connections. So the Ethernet cable I showed you earlier with USB Type-C down the bottom left and the power cable down in that bottom right-hand side. Finally then, in the bottom of the box, we had the pedals, of course. Now, as always, with these pedal bases around this price range, they are very adjustable. You can see that there, so you can move them to any point. Now, I did get the load cell. I'm not using the load cell for this review, just the base bog standard setup, except the boost kit is on, which I'll get into shortly. But we do have the 2 pedals, okay, the brake and the accelerator. Most of this feels top quality, but there is an exception to this, and we're going to get onto that in a second. But the metal frame in there, very good, does feel very strong. The brake actually feels very, very, very stiff, which is nice. Obviously, it's not a load cell, but it's got the stiffness there that I actually particularly like when I'm judging braking based on distance traveled on a pedal. That's the accelerator, of course. Let's talk about the quality a bit more then. So you'll notice the pedal faces there. They are plastic, okay? They are plastic. Not good in my opinion, not good, and it starts to feel a bit of a downfall there. I've had cheaper wheels with much better faceplates. Definitely feel FANATEC can improve on this, especially when you look at its direct competitors currently in the market in terms of cheap direct drive wheels. So first of all, in terms of the installation then, so it's currently mounted to my rig. So if you are going to mount with bolts, they don't come with them apparently, which I found a bit weird to be honest with you. I did have some spare ones, and previous wheels I've got did come with them, which was, I say, it's very interesting and a bit weird to be honest with you, because it's a very cheap addition that would actually benefit the customer a lot, in my opinion, if it was included. So yeah, make that of what you will. I had no power cable. Now, I think this is specific to me because they also gave me a boost kit, okay, and in terms of the bundle that I got. I'm assuming they take the power cable out because it is waste. It's electronic waste, essentially, if you then get the boost kit as well. So just keep that in mind. You should get a power cable, but I didn't have it, so I can't test the basic wheel, okay? I can't test the 5 Newton meters. We're going straight into the 8 Newton meters of force. Now, in terms of that boost kit power cable, it's actually quite small. So if you have your plug sockets miles away from the wheel, you will need an extension cable or something to get you to that plug socket. Fortunately, I've got lots of plug sockets behind this rig, so it's very easy for me to do, but just keep that in mind as well. Now, in terms of general information with this wheel, it is available to be used for PC and PlayStation. So, you know, if you've got an Xbox, this isn't the wheel for you. Just putting that out there straight away. I know we're not at the final review point yet, but it's not for Xbox. And some people are going to talk about this, okay? Yes, I have an affiliate link with FANATEC, but I work full-time, so I'm not financially reliant on them. So this review is purely honest and everything I've experienced during this review, okay? You can use my affiliate link, but at the end of the review, if you still like this wheel and you go, yep, that's it, I want that, feel free to use it. If you want to buy an alternative wheel, use one of those affiliate links in the description. They're all down there for you to use. It just helps you and it helps me as well. So just keep that in mind. But in terms of the review itself, it's my honest opinion. I'm not reliant on them financially in any way, shape or form. This is my 100% truthful review. And by law, you have to do that. But I'm just stating the facts here that I'm not reliant on them financially. So whether I give a good or bad review, it is what it is. Now, in terms of the price for this wheel, just to get that out there as well, it's €700 for the base version of the product. So you get the steering wheel, you get the base, the 2 pedals. That doesn't include the boost kit, of course. So that'd be a 5 Newton meters torque in terms of the strength of the wheel. I will put some conversions on screen at the same time. It's €850 then for the 8 Newton meters. That's the boost kit. Still only 2 pedals. But again, you get the wheel and the base, of course. And then for €970, you get the premium bundle. So that includes the low cell brake. So you end up with 3 pedals at that point because the old brake becomes the clutch. You then obviously end up with the wheel, the base, and the boost kit in that as well. So they're the 3 sort of packages. You can just get the base, of course, if you need the base. But I imagine if you're buying this wheel, essentially, you're after the rim as well in terms of the rim. And you did see that in the box opening. Right, what I'm going to do now is show some footage, gaming footage in the background, because you don't want to just look at my face permanently. There'll be some clips relating to the pros and the cons, of course, where I can talk about them and I have footage of that. So let's jump straight into the pros first and exactly what is good about this wheel. First up then, let's talk about the smoothness of the wheel. Is it smooth? Is it not smooth? Well, it's in the pro category, So it's very smooth, very smooth. In fact, the force feedback is absolutely perfect. You can dial it how you want. So all I did, first of all, is I set up the wheel on my rig, of course, grabbed the USB cable, and I put it into the PlayStation. And guess what? It works absolutely fine, straight out of the box. Change the torque and sensitivity settings on Gran Turismo, of course. But other than that, that's all I've used ever since. I haven't gone into details in fine-tuning in terms of this wheel. I know you can do that, but I haven't done that because, as I've said many times before, I love plug-in and play factor. This is a very smooth wheel in terms of its feel. It's lasted a full 24-hour stint, as you may have seen with the Nürburgring 24 hours I did, where it was non-stop racing. The wheel was smooth throughout. The force feedback stayed exactly the same throughout, and just fair play to it. Fair play to it. Very smooth wheel. Feels exactly how I would want it to feel. Real big, good start here to the FANATEC GT DD Pro. Next up is the buttons. Now, with any official Gran Turismo wheel, including the predecessor, the TGT, we had lots of buttons on that. The FANATEC GT DD Pro is no exception. There are tons of buttons on this. Remember, each of those joysticks goes up, down, left, and right. And is a press as well. A press as well. So it does 5 buttons in one. You have 4 of them, plus the one that replaces the D-pad. So 5. And then you've got the 4 buttons and all the other buttons. There's tons. You can program everything on this wheel, which is always good. So for those that are normally after a button box, you don't need it. You've got this wheel. It works perfectly in that front. Now, of course, with Gran Turismo, you only can set a certain amount of things, of course, and the default setup is pretty good, to be fair. Let's be honest with you. And in terms of nitrous, by the way, you can map it into a button, which is nice for you. So I map it to triangle usually. I can do that, and it feels okay pressing it as well. But there are lots of buttons on there. Really, really good that there's that many buttons, so it allows you to set the wheel up as you like. Next up as a pro is the LED and the digital speed, or speedo, should I say, that you get on the wheel, okay? The LED, very bright, sort of in your face, but in a nice way, not in a horrible way where it's blinding you. So a very good factor, a very good design on that as well. And of course, you can see some of that in the background, as well as showing the speed on the wheel. So if you want to look down, you can see the speed right there. Just nice and easy. I love little features like that. I'm very geeky in that nature, and I enjoy things like that. It's just little additions that just add that little bit more to a wheel than just having it bog standard without anything on it. So it's a big plus for me. For some of you, it won't be a big plus. For me, it is very much a big plus. Next up, I want to talk about the wheel material, okay? So the material is very grippy, very, very grippy, okay? So if you've struggled with some wheels in the past, maybe they're a bit more plasticky, you are going to have your hands slipping as you use it. Now, this is very grippy, and it's actually comfortable. I will say that if you grip it for 24 hours, it is going to start hurting because it grips on that much, okay? Now, I did show my red fingers in the stream, but I'm not sure I'll be able to find that in the 24 hours of footage that I did get there. But yeah, it's very grippy and it's comfortable. Unless you're using it for 24 hours, then you may want something that slips a bit more. But I'm just saying that out loud. Now, critically, this is one of the best things I like about the wheel material, okay? It doesn't suffer with the thread issue on the inside of the wheel, and I've talked about this in tons of wheels. So the CSL Elite had that problem. Thread inside the wheel will dig into your thumbs, eventually loosen. The TGT had that problem. How many wheel rims of TGT I've had, I have no idea, because that thread is on the inside, it just loosens it up, then the thing comes off, and then it's game over for the wheel. This doesn't have that problem. Hallelujah. Well played, FANATEC, with that, because that's a big thing, in my opinion, especially for those that use the wheel over and over and over again. With a PlayStation user, they're going to use it more, I would say, than a sim racer, in my opinion, because it's more get in and play sort of game rather than having to set it up, set a car up for 3 hours, and then go. I feel that that design is beautiful because I just like that. You know, I don't have to worry about the wheel coming apart. That's good. It's a pro. It's a big pro, in my opinion, and very, very critical because a lot of wheels suffer with that issue, even though you do not realize it. Right, let's get on to some of the negatives of the wheel. And you're probably going to be like, Tidge, well, what's going on here then? So first up are the paddle shifters. Now, it's all very well and good having paddle shifters. I do like the fact that it's got paddle shifters, but after a while, especially in the 24-hour stream I did, I just found it actually quite frustrating on my fingers. They're very small in the grand scheme of it, and I love a big, powerful paddle shift. Sounds really weird, I know, but I have it in my real-life driver, you know, a big metal paddle shift. Just press it. I had it on previous wheels as well. TGT had it, and I would argue the TGT paddle shift is better than this. It works, don't get me wrong, but it needs to be bigger. Come on, come on. I'm very much more for a bigger paddle shift. It's more comfortable. You can press it all over the show as you drive as well. It's just better in my opinion. They should be bigger. They should be better. They should be metal in my opinion, just to give that more quality feel. Otherwise, it's just a bit plasticky, if I'm brutally honest. I mean, I'm rubbing it now, and it's just, yeah, it works. Don't get me wrong. I've had no issues with them. It's just, I don't like them. I really don't like them that much. I've got to be honest with you. I really got to be honest. Now let's get on to the desk clamp. Now this is a big negative. I need to put this out there right now. So obviously I used and did a review on its competitor, the Moza R5, very recently, a couple of months ago. And the desk clamp on the Moza R5 was unbelievable. Didn't move an inch. The FANATEC desk clamp moved inches immediately. Like really, really immediately. In fact, I used it for less than a day and had to move it over because it was atrocious. It just kept moving all over the place. Now, yes, you have the grippers that move that I talked about in the box opening, but I couldn't get it lined up and I couldn't get it to just stick and stay there for even a moment. Now, a lot of people, if you don't know this, will pull on the wheel as you drive. Quite a few people do this. I'm one of those people. So you end up moving it up and down and everywhere. And it's just like, it just doesn't work. The desk clamp doesn't work. In my opinion, Moza had this better where you have 2 connection points that you twist together to get on rather than 1 connection point and then it grips the way it does. That definitely needs improving in my opinion. That really needs to be improved because the desk clamp isn't the greatest. Now, if you are somebody who uses a desk clamp, I'd advise not getting this wheel. I really would because it's atrocious in my opinion. That really, really, really could have been better. The desk clamp then leads us on to the next problem with the wheel, which is the power button. Let me explain this. So imagine you are using a desk clamp. One thing I did is if I'm driving and the desk clamp's moving towards me, I would push the wheel back. The problem is the power button being on the bottom right hand side of the wheelbase is exactly where I've pushed every single wheel that I've ever used with a desk clamp and that's had an issue back. So a number of times when I tried to use the desk clamp, it would come forward, I'd push it in, but accidentally press the power button and it would all switch off in the middle of a race. It was atrocious. So I do feel like power button should be somewhere else where you're less likely to touch it. Now, I do understand it's there because you have the different setting modes on the FANATEC wheel. So you can go through the different compatibility modes. Obviously, I'm looking for the blue light for the PlayStation, of course. But even so, it was just a bit like... at first I looked at the power button, I thought, yeah, it's pretty good, you know, just press it there. But when using it, it's why I wait with the reviews, you know, I do a month or longer than a month in this case, and I get a full use of a wheel. I realized that the power button is actually in the wrong place. It's a nice design, but functionally, wrong place, especially if you're going to move your wheelbase back. Do keep that in mind if you are somebody who does push it with the right hand side of the wheelbase, because you will touch the power button and it will go off during a race. So let's get on to the significant problem then, and my particular peeve with this wheel, okay? And that's it can pull out and disconnect. What do I mean by this? So if you're driving, and I mentioned it before, you know, a lot of people do pull on the wheel. So if you're pulling on the wheel, eventually, it will start to pull towards you. Now, what I mean here is not the wheelbase, but the actual shaft. I want to call it a shaft, the wheel shaft. Basically, the thing that you put the wheel onto, which then goes into the wheelbase. So it gives you that connection, okay. Now, it's got a clamp at the end, which is meant to tighten it so it doesn't loosen. And it does say in the instructions, to be fair to FANATEC, this needs to be tight, really tight. But it does loosen because it's only got 1 connection point, okay. So it just loosens through use. And, you know, if you're pulling on something, eventually it gets looser. Think of opening a jar. As you twist it and twist it and twist it, eventually it loosens. Or you twist it, you think it's no good, you pass it to somebody else, and they just do it instantly. You've loosened it a little bit, haven't you? You really have loosened it. So this is what happens with this. And it's happened 3 or 4 times to me. Fortunately, it didn't happen during the 24-hour stream, but as you saw during the stream, I had my Allen key ready in case it did, because the technical failure can happen at any time. I've experienced it during the racing. Hopefully I've got some footage in the background of me experiencing that, because it just dies on you. Literally, you've got no gears, generally. And sometimes it also impacts the pedal input as well. Because you've got to remember, everything goes through that into the wheelbase, which then communicates to the PlayStation, because that's where the connection comes from. So, you know, if you're going through the wheel and it stops, that's the issue, isn't it? It stops communicating. If it goes so far, the whole thing stops working. And that's what I'm trying to say here. Now, this is where it gets really annoying for me, okay? Really, really, really annoying. They have a fix and they know about it. How do I know they know about it? Well, I spoke to some engineers that were working at one of the competitions, okay? And they explained that FANATEC do have a solution. I think it's the QR2. Don't quote me on what solution this is. I believe it's the QR2, okay? Now, when that's on, you don't have this issue anymore at all. Now, that costs money. That costs money. I don't like the fact it costs money. For me, with any wheel, and I've said this about the T300 before now, when I've done a wheel on the Thrustmaster T300, I'll say on any wheel, if you have a fundamental flaw, design flaw on your product where it causes issues eventually and just causes failures, just fix the problem. The problem being fixed may cost you 10 or 20 pounds per item, but good word of mouth, good feedback that you fixed a problem will generate so much more positivity around the brand, in my view. And having that problem, because I had to go and Google and find out what the heck was going on with my wheel when it happened, and seeing so many people have the same problem, I don't like that. And the fact that there is a way to fix it, but it costs money, I really don't like that. I think that's just a big, big no-no to me. So hopefully FANATEC do fix this going forward. As I say, you can fix it yourself, you can tighten it constantly, but that seems an effort to me. As I always say with any product I review, I want to plug it in and play. That is it. I don't want to fuss about, have to mess about with different settings, different times. That's not what I want to do. I'm not working for my hobby. I want to just jump in my hobby and have some fun. That's why I like a plug-in and play factor. That is a big problem with this wheel in terms of that wheel shaft. I'd say it's happened 3 or 4 times over the span of use of this wheel. I've used it a lot, to be fair. You know, give it fair play. I mean, what was it? November when I started using this wheel. So it has been a while, been well over a month. And you could argue that 3 or 4 times is fair. But I don't think that's fair. I think if it's a design problem, it needs fixing. And in my opinion, FANATEC, you need to fix that part of the wheel. Fix that part of the problem. Now, I just want to talk about something else that happened. So, my first wheelbase melted. Actually melted, okay. So, what happened was, I set the wheel up and switched the PlayStation on. Just checked it worked, you know. And I left it on. Left the PlayStation on, left the wheel on. Left it for about 3 hours, okay. Came back into the conservatory, which is where my rig is set up. I could smell burning, plastic burning, like it was melting. Now, I thought nothing. I thought maybe the wheel's just warming up. It's brand new. Maybe there's a bit of dust in there, something like that. So I jumped on, started playing. Within 2 laps, stopped working entirely. Just would not connect, would not do anything. So I disconnected it, left it a little bit, plugged it back in, started working again. Absolutely fine. And then instantly the smell came back and then it stopped working again. That's the problem at that point, because you're smelling burning. It's getting dangerous at that point. So I literally unplugged it, went to Google, had a look round. This has been a problem for some other people as well. Now, don't get me wrong, there are lots of products out there in the world. Logitech have had problems with their G29s and the gear shifters, bad batches. I've talked about that, where I needed 3 wheels in order to get one that was good and not out of a bad batch. There can be bad batches everywhere. Now, this was obviously a part of a bad batch where the burning happened, or that part failure happened. Now, the fact that this has happened and it's happened in multiple batches suggests a quality issue. And I'm wondering whether, and this is just a thought out there, this isn't factual in any way, whether the fact that because it's the official wheel for Gran Turismo has a vast audience. It's a big, big racing game, okay? It's massive, okay? Whether they're increasing production, because stock has very much been of short supply for a lot of people who want this wheel. It's taken them a while to get it. In the fact that they've had to increase production and maybe quality is being reduced there. That's just a thought that's in my mind. That may not be the case. It may just be the way it's built. I don't know, but just keep that in mind. If your wheel does smell of burning or melting, please do stop using it immediately. It's definitely a problem with the wheel. It won't come back. Contact FANATEC. Just talk to them about the problem, and potentially they will solve the problem. You know, you have your customer rights, etc. in there, but just keep that in mind. Just thought I'd put that there because I did experience that problem, and obviously other people have also experienced that problem. Now, the other thing I do want to talk about, and a lot of people have been messaging me about it, is of course the delays with the products that are being sent out essentially by FANATEC. Now, when I was getting this wheel myself, I actually suffered that same problem with you guys. Okay, so I got the email, and essentially what's happened is they've changed warehouse and got a new logistics partner. And that process, if you've never been in that sort of environment, is actually quite a big deal. Not even quite a big deal. It's a very big deal and can have lots of problems. And of course, it has given them lots of problems. I feel like they probably could do with being a bit more public, just to let people know lead times, etc. Now, there are lead times on wheels on the website, but I feel that could maybe be misunderstood if there are additional problems on top of that, saying, oh yeah, we can get it out in 3 days. That also depends on our logistics partner. That means it could actually be more. I don't know. But just keep that in mind, okay? There have been delays with the FANATEC products lately. I mean, I waited like a month and a half, 2 months, and I did get the email to say that there are issues there. They are trying to solve them as they work through that problems. But I do feel like I could be a bit more public. Just let people know. I mean, I say this with a lot of things, actually, in real life and just in general. This isn't at FANATEC in any way, okay? If a company is public about a situation, I feel like they get a better positive outcome from the public. And I feel like a company, I'm not saying FANATEC do this, I'm just saying in general, I feel like a lot of companies look at a problem and want to hide the problem because they don't want to look bad. But for me personally, if a company ever does that, again, I'm not saying FANATEC do this, but if a company does hide a problem, then you actually make it worse when people just start shouting very loudly about said problem. Whereas if you go, okay, yeah, we've got a problem at the moment. This is the situation. We're working towards a solution. We apologize, but we are working towards the solution. Please bear with us, and we will give you all the support you need. Thank you very much. Something like that is just great, in my opinion. And they did send the email. FANATEC did send the emails. Fair play to them, to customers. But obviously, if you're a new customer, you haven't bought anything yet, you don't know that problem exists. And that's what I'm talking about with being a bit more public in terms of those lead times. Let's look at the conclusion then, because I've talked a lot in this video, but it's a thorough review for you guys, just to let you know my thoughts, feelings, pros, cons, everything in between in terms of this wheel. Now, would I recommend this wheel? For playing on the PlayStation, and specifically Gran Turismo, absolutely. There's a reason it's the official wheel, okay? It works superbly. I've used it in that 24-hour stream. I use it a lot. You know, I've had enjoyment using it throughout. It is a very good wheel. It feels so smooth. So smooth. You have lots of buttons on there. And in my opinion, it is the way to play Gran Turismo 7. It really is. And probably future Gran Turismos, as long as it stays as a working wheel, of course, with how Sony do all their security. Now, one question I do get a lot is it an upgrade from the TGT? Because I've had the TGT. I've had 2 of them, in fact. Or I've had 3. Can't remember. I've had a few TGTs, let's put it that way. Now, if you're looking to upgrade from a TGT, you obviously aren't too worried about money at the time, or you want to invest in your hobby at least. I will say this now. This is definitely an investment, and a good investment from a TGT. I don't know with a TGT2, but I imagine that's not much different to a TGT. So I will say, if you're wanting to upgrade to a direct drive wheel for pure smoothness and enjoyment of playing, then yes, it's definitely worth it for the FANATEC GT DD Pro. That's certainly a mouthful, it really is. Now, some of you are going, well, what about for the PC, Tidge? You haven't mentioned the PC or Assetto Corsa at all. Well, I haven't really played it on there at the moment, so I'm actually going to do a separate video eventually, because I'm starting to play ACC this week. I'm going to do a separate video for the FANATEC GT DD Pro on ACC, because I've got a good comparison then to its direct competitor in my mind, the Moza R5, and we can really look at the differences there, okay, between the Moza and the FANATEC GT DD Pro, because the Moza does have a lot of positives as well. But without playing it on the PC, I honestly can't tell you whether it'll be better or worse, or whether I can recommend it for PC or not. I can't say. But what I will say, and my conclusion from this video, so the too long, don't read or don't watch answer. If you're jumping to this very point in the video, go back and watch the video, first of all. But if you're jumping to this part of the video, yes, I would recommend this wheel, but do make sure you look at the cons first. Desk clamp, very significant. The wheel shaft, you may look at it and go, I don't want that issue. But also look at the pros as well. It's a very smooth wheel, lots of buttons, lots to weigh up there. It's a very big investment, so make sure you look at those pros and cons respectively, okay? Now, that is going to be it for this video, folks. If you're wondering about the load cell, well, that'll be a separate video as well entirely. You know my thoughts on load cells, of course. They're one of the best upgrades you can get, but they are a significant difference in terms of your driving style if you've never used one before. So, that is the wheel in a nutshell, the FANATEC GT DD Pro. Some people are going to be like, okay, Tidge, you've got an affiliate link. Isn't this going to make it a paid promotion? No, it's a review. It's a review. You can literally buy a FANATEC using my affiliate link if you want. Don't have to. It's there if you want to. If you want to buy a Moza instead, guess what? Use the GT Amiga link instead. Or use my discount code on GT Amiga. You buy a Moza. They're all there for you to use, okay? I'm reviewing this video. It's my honest opinion. I'm not reliant on the financial gains of an affiliate link or whatever from FANATEC or whatever it may be. They're literally a review, my honest opinions of it working, okay? I've rambled on a bit longer now, so this is where it does end for this video, folks. A big thank you for watching, and I'm sorry it's a little bit later than planned, this video, but I do hope it's of help to you in your investments and your racing endeavors. If you did like it, of course, give it a like, subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with all the latest content here on the channel. But once again, a big thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another in another video or live stream very soon. Thank you so much.